Well, we're live for about 5 seconds. Alright, so you read the title right. I am playing Stormworks. Now, uh, obviously I'm gonna have to reopen it so that the sound kicks in. Sometimes I have to do that, sometimes I don't. It depends. My headset takes a while sometimes, but I absolutely am going to do a new thing. We're not going to get the space DLC because it tends to break things. The only mods that I'm going to activate are the Mauser. I'm guessing that is the thing there. And then the add-ons, I'm going to turn off this. And then we're just going to slide these all the way down to 0 on all of them. Oh, we can just turn it off, and then it's no issue at all. 60 minutes. Enable sirens. Oh, we can turn that off. Enable natural disasters. Yeah. No. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so we fixed that issue. This is a custom. Now, I do want to start at the multiplayer island just because of the fact it's a little easier to do this. And I think that's everything. It's a custom, so I won't have an issue with that. I think we're good. But anyway, how's everybody's morning? For me, it is 7:11 right now, as you can see on my screen. AM, the 1st of May, so happy May. Yay. But, it's hard to believe that in a few days I'll be older. I'm not telling you guys when, because I'm going to try and figure out something that I'm going to do on that day in celebration of my, birthday. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I might do a very big announcement here soon. I don't know, we'll see. I might do an announcement today on my channel that you guys need to keep a lookout for stuff. Well, we'll see. And then there's the quote unquote birth of the channel coming up as well. It's been about a year for that too, so we're gonna open up both of these hangar doors because there might be a day where I want to come in here and I love the way that the hangar doors on the multiplayer island open. That's very cool. Oh wow, they put us like right here, didn't they? Let's see where they put us on this one. Oh wait, hold on. Guess it would do better if I here we go. Okay, yeah, they put us in really a good spot because we got a lot of open area out here. Which is actually what I wanted. I wanted a lot of open area, so that's great. So, I don't know if anybody remembers, but yesterday I was playing the ferry and this one. The next one that I have from that series, I guess you can say, is this passenger vessel. Now, obviously, guys, I am going to go through and check all these out. I just want to sync them first so that you guys can get an idea as to how quickly they sync. So if you want to download them from the workshop, you can. I will hover over the map so you guys can see what the name of the creator is. Alright, now, normally I use C4, but I've noticed that with, oh, hello. Yeah, this is the one I wanted. That's great. I love that. Yep, perfect. Nor the fact I have so many grenades. So we're gonna say that obviously this vessel's very old. Wow, it's so old that the helm up front is backwards. That's funny. But I do appreciate the fact that the creator doesn't use actual stairs in game. He uses like pieces from like other parts to get the ship to work. So props to the creator on that. I don't like the fact there's only 2 bulkheads. That's been an issue. But here we go. We got bow breach, stern breach, and boiler explosion. So that's actually really cool. I think I'll use those instead of using the C4. So all 4 of these ships, all 3 of these ships, excuse me, all 3 of these ships do have a sinking method. So if you want to use that, use that. If you want to use C4 or the grenades, use those. It does sink either way. That is tested. I'm going to have to test out the sinking method once we check this out. But, let's see. Boiler room, entry, and exit. Alright, well, that makes things simple, doesn't it? So, stairs down, those stairs up. Alright, alright. So, always open up the air valve first, and then you ignite the spark, is how they have it designated here. Now, as you can see, it's not a very nice fit, but here you go. Here's the forward cargo hold. As you can see, I like the fact the creator does put like 2 decks worth of cargo space in here. I imagine this is probably like steerage is what they would call it. Lounge for the crew. No, this is crew quarters. Okay, cool. So I know where we're at. We're in the front section of the ship. That's cool. And then medical bay, captain's cabin right here. Look at that. That's cool. See, one of the things I'm noticing that people are starting to do with the ships now is instead of putting the sinking buttons in the captain's cabin, they're putting them in the bridge, which is actually a lot easier to get to. I appreciate that feature because it tends to be a pain in the rear end. Let's see what we got. Speed and steam valve. So we're going to open up the steam valve. Obviously, it's a twin screw ship, so, you know, not going to be, I don't know how fast we're going to be going. We'll figure it out once we get the steam valve all the way open and get up to speed. Obviously, this thing kind of, if I'm being honest, this thing honestly reminds me of, like, if I'm being honest, it reminds me more of, like, a cruise vessel. Like, it doesn't really remind me of, like, an ocean liner. Because, like, I mean, the one of the things that people don't know is cruise ships use like a white paint scheme. That's always been their like theme or whatever. So with the white paint scheme, it just really looks weird. There was a time period though where it was like right before passenger ships got slowly faded out. There was a time period where ocean liners did start using the white stuff, the white paint, instead of the black, the traditional black and white, which, in my opinion, I like the black and white. Okay, so we're going to go back through the ship. We're going to start down here. So, obviously, we just saw this was the, like, crew quarters / chain locker. I'm assuming this would be like the anchor chain stuff for the crew to use. Medical bay, captain's cabin over here. What do we have here? We have a staircase. And then if you go through here, you obviously have the engine room that also goes into the, well, this is actually the engine room. But, wow, it's not really keeping a lot of steam pressure, is it? Wow. Okay, but there's that. Let's see. If we go down, and we go back, aft, there's nothing there. Okay. So that's what I wanted to make sure of. Alright, so then, let's go back up the stairs, okay? So obviously most of this would be like crew quarters and stuff like that. So here's the staircase that's leading basically to the captain's cabin. Alright, private lounge. So this is obviously a lounge that, you know, if you bought like a special first class ticket, this would be your lounge. Obviously via private lounge. Duh. But, I don't like private lounges simply because the fact, like, you know, it just makes me want to go in them. Here's the galley. You know, a small galley. The wireless room is on the other side. Look at that. We got a wireless room with a Marconi machine. A lot of people were calling it the macaroni machine for a while on here. Komodo Gaming was one of them. It was pretty funny. Alright, so here's the toilet. Looks modded. Another toilet that's modded. Dining room. Here we go. Fancy. Look at that. That's fancy. The main galley, of course. So yes, that it does confirm the forward galley is for the crew. That can be confirmed now. And then we have a staircase, I'm assuming, that goes down into passenger areas. Yes. Yes, this is passenger areas down here. Obviously, you know, not very spacious. I don't know if all these are like that. I'm assuming they are, considering. Oh, here's one. Nope, that one is worse. Alright. Yeah, see, these ones aren't as packed, but, you know, you get the point. And then you go down, you got like a little lounge with more beds. And then, I'm guessing like an aft storage compartment. Like with the briefcases and stuff, that's actually really cool. So yeah, this thing obviously is not like a really big passenger vessel, but it's a very nice passenger vessel. I do give it credit for that. It is a very nice looking passenger vessel. We have a smoking room. So there's the smoking room, and then we have the rudder engine. Which is actually something I never would have figured they would have added into the game, so that's really cool. And then, of course, if we go up here, this is what they call, on some ships, a docking helm. So if you pay attention on, like, Titanic, I think Lusitania had one, all these ships, they had, like, this quote-unquote docking helm. And what it was for was, since the bow could not see the stern very well, they'd have a man that was on the aft section trying to navigate the ship to keep the rudder and everything from, you know, doing things. So we are going to sink the ship, obviously. Duh. We just clicked the button. Alright, so there's the hit, I'm guessing. So alright, so we're going to say we got flooding, so we're going to go on ahead and activate the watertight compartments. Watertight compartments are sealed. Now, obviously, I imagine that they probably have this thing built to where it will sink either way. So, normally, a lot of these vessels would be, okay, come on, man. Don't tell me that you got it. Why would you, like, design a davit that doesn't really swing out too well? Like, it's obvious that this thing was built to be compact, but this is just insane. Also, we do have more that don't look like they actually launch. It's just for show, but that is really cool that they added it. I love ships like when people build them and stuff that add like a little detail like that. Because a little bit of detail goes a long way. It really does. Especially when it comes to content creators. People tend to give shout outs just on, the amount of like time that a builder spends on a ship. This is by far, even though it's very small, there's a lot of detail, like the placement of the fake briefcases and stuff like that. That's obviously something that the creator of the thing, of the ship, wanted to see people look at. So, that made it possible. And I have to admit that, like, the cargo ship that we checked out, as I said, it has that same kind of feature to where it has, like, loose stuff. But as you can see, the forward cargo hold is now basically completely flooded. If the engine room floods, what we're going to do is we're going to say that the ship can't move anymore. So, look forward to that, I guess. We're going to keep this ship moving as long as we possibly can. But all in all, if I'm being honest, like, this is a very nice vessel, and I appreciate the fact that there is detail in ships. Like, I've grabbed ships before and not realizing that they're work in progress, they're not finished, they're not complete. And if I'm being honest, they're complete disappointments because of the fact that I love an interior on ships, and there have been ships that I've grabbed before that just have nothing at all as far as an interior. And it honestly upsets me because it's like, why build a ship if you're not going to put any interior on it? Alright, so we're going to grab the ferry as well. The ferry was really interesting last night because it was actually taking it a while to sink as well. We'll do the cargo ship as well. But, yeah, let the rudder recenter. There we go. Alright, so I don't know if the water's going to make its way up top or not, so we need to go check that out. So the best way to go check that out is to... So we've got the bulkhead sealed, so, I mean... Okay, yeah, so the water is going to eventually start pouring into this area here. And once that happens, we are going to sink. There's nothing we can do to stop it because it does pour directly into the engine room. And I don't think those doors are sealed, so... Uh-oh. Yeah, it's already flooding. When you get that animation, it's already flooding. So yeah, we are flooding. And we're doing very horribly right now, so... I think as long as the bow doesn't slip under the water, I think we'll be okay. But once that happens, we're going to have to stop the ship. Because what that creates is it creates a lip to where if you're steaming full ahead or even a little bit, it's pushing the ship down. It doesn't animate it very well in this game, but the water physics work in a way to where, all right, so let's say the bow goes underwater on the ship. In real life, if the bow is under the water and I'm still moving forward, the force from the water hitting the ship is going to force the ship down even more because of that force that the water has. So, unfortunately in this game, they don't really animate that too well. You can just basically push through it like, you can with your bow sticking out of the water. So, but I do appreciate the attention to detail. Yep, I told you guys we were going to start flooding. Yeah, you definitely can tell that the ship is going down. Now, the engine room, I think, is completely sealed. Yeah, the engine room is sealed, so we don't have to worry about that. So, that's at least a positive. And apparently there was new evidence. I didn't know this. But fun fact for you guys, it's Titanic information. I know Titanic month was last month, and I don't participate in Titanic month simply because of the fact that there are ships out there that, in my opinion, like I'm not saying that Titanic is not important, but Titanic seems to be the only thing that any ship person ever talks about. Like, it's always like Titanic this, Titanic that, Titanic this, Titanic that. And it's like, why are you so fascinated with one vessel when there was so many different other ones that have such a vast amount of history? Like the Queen Mary, for instance. Dude, that thing served in World War II, and then it served after as well, and now it still resides in the West Coast in Long Beach, California. That's one of the places I want to go. Of course, now you can't go do the ghost stuff because of the fact that Ghost Hunters ruined it, but I think they do now have a ghost tour that they do, which is really cool. All right, we're gonna stop the ship. We're gonna say that we need to get the passengers off. All right, now watch the bow, guys. Watch how it sinks just because I'm stopping the engines. It's amazing how a little bit of force can cause a ship to sink or to rise out of the water a lot. So this is the water line right now as we stand. So I'm going to go over here down to the crew quarters. Now, this is the lounge, obviously. This is the crew quarters as we stand right now. So I'm going to open this door, let it kind of flood in, so that hopefully we can keep this area unflooded for a while. But as you can see, the water is beginning to pour over, so I imagine the sinking is not going to be pretty once it finally does sink. Yeah, because we are slowly sinking more and more. So I'm going to go on ahead and release these lifeboats, get them off the ship. Here we go. I like the functionality of the lifeboats as well. That's actually a very nice feature. It's very appreciated when your lifeboats actually work, because I've had ships before like where only 2 of the lifeboats work, and it's like, well, then why bother to put all the... But again, little details, made to be multiplayer friendly type of stuff. And I appreciate creators that do stuff like that, because it makes us content creators like really, really happy being able to play it on a computer and not have to worry about it blowing us up, more or less. Now, me, obviously, I don't really worry about it, because the way I figured, if my laptop can play the game decently, I don't have anything to worry about. But I do have a few ships that actually do lag my game. So, in case anybody's wondering, like, how in the world does he have, such a good... No, I don't. Like, every YouTuber has a breaking point with their computer as to how much their computer can handle. And it's up to us to decide whether or not when that is. And a lot of times, a lot of YouTubers won't tell anybody that, that their computer can't handle a game. Like, say, I've had people constantly asking me to get different games here and there, like Repo, for instance. I had viewers constantly begging me to get repo. And I kept telling them, I don't know if I want to, I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. And eventually I saw a little bit of gameplay and it looked actually pretty interesting, and that's what made me get it. And not only that, but I did promise them that I would get it and try it. So, in the end, while I didn't really want to get repo, I ended up getting it because it looked fun and interesting. And then it ends up being the funniest freaking game I have in my lineup right now, as far as games that I play, so. Take that as you will. But I think, honestly, people know what they want. And Repo just seems to be a very popular game right now. And I didn't get it because of popularity. Like, the guys were like, oh, you'll get really popular if you play Repo. I don't really care about getting popular. I really don't. If I'm being honest, I'm probably one of the very few YouTubers that you're ever going to hear say that. I don't care about getting popular. Alright, for me, I do this stuff so that you guys have something to watch. And I have something to do, by the way. Excuse me, I did burp a little bit there. That's why I do the YouTube. That's why I do it. Because of the fact that it's entertaining to not only y'all, but me as well, so. Bear that in mind. What ship you in? This ship is called, well, it doesn't tell me. I can't remember what it's actually called. I might be able to see on the workshop. Where's it at? Where's the button? Well, son of a biscuit. It is, hold on, I can probably teleport over to one of these islands and show you. I'll teleport to the multiplayer island, because I gotta get a ship ready anyway. I am in the SS Viena? Venia? I don't really know. And this one's just called Fairy. So that's the next ship I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready. Ring-a-ding-ding. Alright, there we go. Alright. Go back to my dying, sinking ship over here. Yeah, I'm tempted to just flip and put a little bit of throttle under it right now. Let me see if I can. The engine room might be too flooded to do anything now. We're at 9 on the steam valve. Alright, so we got the propellers moving. That's about all I'm gonna do. I just want that little bit of a cinematic. The propellers are still moving. Watch out. The lifeboats are gonna get 8 like on the Britannic. I love that movie. But just like every other movie, they had to add love into it, and it just ruined it. Like, I love a good movie where it actually focuses on what actually happened rather than, oh my goodness, love. Like, A Night to Remember, I think is what the movie is. It's the Titanic movie. Like, yes, it focuses on, like, a lot of drama and everything, but it actually goes a lot more in depth with things that happened during the sinking of the Titanic compared to the James Cameron movie that they made that just focused on Jack and Rose. And, well, yes, they did do a lot of cinematics and stuff with the sinking of the Titanic and everything, where Jack and Rose are like some of the last people to get off the ship and everything. But, to me, Titanic, the movie, was focused more on romance than it was about the sinking. But my all-time favorite part is when Rose's mother is complaining about how crowded the lifeboats are going to be. And Rose looks dead at her mother and she's like, "Mother, shut up." And then she starts telling her about how, like there's not enough lifeboats for, like, half the people on the ship and stuff. And that, she needs to think about people other than herself and stuff like that. And her mother is just completely flabbergasted because of, like, her daughter never talking to her like that. It was, like, the best scene in that movie, in my opinion. But, it really, like, I feel like Titanic does go into detail with some things. Like, for instance, like, Thomas Andrews talking about how, like, the ship only had enough lifeboats for, like, half the people, or not even half the people on the ship. Like, that was one of the reasons why, after the Titanic sunk, they had that big old meeting where they decided where a ship's size did not matter how many lifeboats. What mattered was how many people were able to fit in a ship. That's why, like, cruise ships and stuff nowadays, the lifeboats, on there, they can carry like 500 people or something like that. And it really gives you an idea, like, there's like lifeboats all like along the ships. So like 500 people, like, these ships carry thousands of people. So, they have enough lifeboats for everybody. And another reason why not as many people made it off the Titanic was because of the fact that they weren't being loaded properly. As said in the Titanic movie, Thomas Andrews confronts one of the officers and he's talking about how one of the lifeboats he saw off the ship only had 12 people in it. 12 people. And from what I remember, he said something around the lines of that the lifeboats were tested to hold the weight of 30 men. Now, they were loading women and children. So, if you imagine, back in those days, I imagine a man weighed probably about twice as much as a woman did. So you could probably put 60 women and children in one lifeboat and get them off. And it would have saved a lot more lives. But instead, they were panicking. They weren't really doing what they were supposed to because they weren't trained. Captain Smith, whether people believe it or not, yes, Ismay is at fault because he pushed Captain Smith to continue on. But in reality, it was Captain Smith's ship. Alright? He had control over it. It was his ship while it was at sea. When it's in dock, it's Ismay's ship. But when it's at sea, it is Captain Smith's ship. He did not do lifeboat drills like he was supposed to. And therefore, when there was an actual emergency, none of the officers knew what they were doing. There's actually recordings, like records and stuff, where people were talking about how the officers were struggling to even get the lifeboats ready to go because they hadn't been trained on how to do it. And then, and the kicker is, like, Ismay jumps into the lifeboat, and if you pay attention in the movie, um, if you pay attention in the movie, um, Ismay jumps into the lifeboat, and he's like not daring to look at the officer. The officer looks dead at him, sees that he's in the lifeboat, and instead of grabbing him and shoving him back on the ship like he should have done and made him die like all the rest of the honorable men that went down on Titanic and putting a woman in his place, he just let him go down with that freaking lifeboat. It's honestly a sad endeavor because of the fact that Captain Smith, whether people want to believe it or not, is to blame for the sinking of Titanic. He received several iceberg warnings. He did not slow the ship down. In fact, they weren't even running on full boilers until Ismay pressed him to light all the boilers, and then he did, and then they went faster than they were supposed to, and they were going at like a very high speed when they hit the iceberg. And in all reality, with them not having visibility, they did not have binoculars like they were supposed to. They were supposed to stop for the night. Like the other White Star Line that was like, I'm going to say, if I'm being honest with you guys, like you see my ship, you see off in the distance, there's like that single little like speck out there, right there where the lifeboat davits are. That's probably as far, if not where the oil rig is, as far as that other ocean liner was. They saw the distress rockets. They saw the lights of the Titanic and everything. They even received the radio calls. And they did not go to help. Carpathia was the only ship, a Cunard Line vessel, White Star Line's enemy at the time, came to rescue them when their own vessel, owned by their company, was so close and could have saved so many more, did not come and help. It is honestly sad to me. And then people want to take up, oh, well, they would have risked hitting an iceberg if they would have came to help too. Blah, 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 blah. It's a risk that you're willing to take if you're an honorable person. Carpathia was on the way back from New York. They had already passed where the Titanic was. And they turned around and came back. So why the flip can't that ship risk everything? Fuel, running out of fuel, possibly hitting an iceberg, whatever, like the Carpathia did to come and help some survivors. More people would have been saved had the proper precautions been taken. It's not really one person's fault, but if you really think about it, Captain Smith will always be to blame because he did not do what he was supposed to. Also, we're having a Britannic moment right now. It's fine. Shoot, 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 shoot. Oh. I could technically turn the ship away from it, but... And it is funny to me because Olympic, the very first of the three, was built just like the Titanic was, except I think it was slightly different in some aspects. I think Olympic was supposed to be less grand than Titanic. Titanic was built to be more grand than Olympic or something like that. I don't remember what the details were. There's like design features that are also different as well. But it not only survived through World War One, but it got converted back into an ocean liner, and right before World War II, they decided to scrap it. The thing is, both Britannic and Titanic got sunk. The very first of the three survived somehow. Explain that to me. Now, obviously, everybody knows that what happened to Britannic could not be helped. They didn't know the mines were there. And a lot of people were skeptical for a long time whether or not it was a torpedo or a mine. But then they did a lot of research on it. And during the war, there were mines placed in that area. And one of the minesweepers that were supposed to go in there did not get that particular mine. So, needless to say, that mine detonated on the Britannic. Now, Britannic, one of the biggest issues is, I think, if I remember correctly, I know on the Lusitania there's a lot of things that happen on it, but if I remember correctly, Britannic lost all communications with the engine room with the strike. They also lost rudder control, so they couldn't turn, I think. That might be Lusitania. I might be getting my ships mixed up. But, like, there's a lot of things that happen to the Britannic. It's actually and then Lusitania, when it sunk, the captain felt like it was his fault, which in reality, it was not his fault. Because what a lot of people don't know, Mauritania and Lusitania, both of them were designed with the idea of, if a war breaks out, we need to be able to mount guns on our decks. If you pay attention to the design and everything, there are areas on the ships, on the decks. It's why their deck is so flat, because of the fact that they were getting ready to be armed merchant carriers, more or less. They were going to be troop transports, they were going to carry a lot of supplies and things, so they mounted guns on them, or they were going to. And I think the Mauritania actually did end up converting over like that. I don't remember if it did or not. It might have been I know the Aquitania, I think, was a hospital ship, which is interesting to me, but the whole design was different too. But the Mauritania and the Lusitania, they were supposed to be like armored merchant carriers or something like that, or armed merchant carriers. And that's why they decided that they needed to sink the Lusitania that day. Because one, if I remember correctly, they were carrying munitions they weren't supposed to be carrying. And two, there was a possibility that they were going to get used as armed merchant carriers. And the Germans didn't want that, so they sunk it. But the thing is, Germany didn't want America coming into the war. So instead of being like, yep, we did it. Yep, totally us. Yep, it was us. It was our submarine. Yep, right here. They go, nope, that submarine captain was at fault. He shouldn't have shot your ship. It's his fault. We're going to fire him. We're going to demote him. We might even hang him. They completely destroyed this man's career just for following orders. Orders that were given to him by higher superior German officers. But he lost his job. Where's the honor in that? Like, you fire somebody because of the fact they followed the orders that you gave them is, it's honestly just horrible and wrong, because this guy was just trying to follow orders and do what he was ordered to do, and now you're firing him for it. Basically that's what that's what they did. They were like, you're fired, whatever. Ugh, get out of here. Ugh. Alright, so those doors are open, I think. Yep, that's the engine room gonna flood now, so I want this ship to hurry up and sink, because this thing's getting boring to watch. But, and then there's the whole Wilhelm Gustloff story. That's another story that's really interesting. a lot of people say that it's a good thing that the Wilhelm Gustloff sunk because it was carrying Nazis out of Germany. While yes, it was carrying Nazi officers, there were also civilians on that ship. And the Russians, being the murderers that they are, decided, hey, let's just blow it up. So, they fired, if I remember correctly, it was 2 torpedoes, and the ship was overpacked, so it made it top heavy as I'll get out. Because people were trying to escape Germany, because they didn't want to die to the Russians. Like, people, I'm not even joking, like, there is actually records of people that were German officers and stuff. They would honestly escape the Western Front to go to the Eastern Front so that they would be captured by the Americans, not the Russians. That is how bad the treatment was by the Russians. Like, I'm not even joking with you guys when I say the fact that, I don't like Stalin. I hate him. I honestly, if I'm being honest, I would rather die than to have ever had to deal with anyone like Stalin. Because Stalin is a murderer. He murdered his own people just to win a war. I'm sorry, that is not how you do things. If you have honor, you will fight for the right reason, and he was not fighting for the right reason. I don't believe for 1 second that he was fighting for the right reason. But anyway, some of my favorite vessels are like paddle steamers. That's always been my favorite type of vessel. Huh, I forgot I downloaded that. That actually looks really good. The lifeboats look small, but very nice. I like. The SS George. Dear Lord, what is this? Honestly looks like something I would have made. Not even joking. I actually made a ship like one time, and it was so boxy that I put it on the workshop, and I was like, do whatever you want to with it. Nobody ever re-uploaded it. I guess it sucked that bad that nobody wanted to re-upload it. Here we go. We'll do this one. How about that? It's what they call a flying boat. Alright, I gotta remember how to actually... Okay, here we go. Alright, Alright, so the engines are cranked. We're just gonna very slowly pull this thing out. Up on the throttle a little bit. Oh. Yeah, just get us moving enough that we can pull out of the dock. It honestly does look like a flying boat. It looks like they took a boat and strapped wings on it. But it looks cool. I like it. Like, I'll give it credit. It looks really cool. We're also gonna get the, there's also like a little dinghy that comes with it that's actually supposed to carry the passengers to the boat. So, yeah. There, this is just sad. Come on now. But I love, I've always been fascinated myself with the time period of sail converting over to propeller and paddle. Like, I've always found an interest in that time period. simply because of the fact that the designs of ships were really weird. They were really interesting. Um, like once they finally figure out that the paddle's kind of useless, you start seeing that ships start getting really and they kind of get boring. Like the Carpathia is probably the most interesting vessel design that you see for quite a long time. Like I will admit, like I do like some of the White Star Line's early vessels, like the Atlantic and stuff. And then when they start adding, like I love the fact that they have like most of the passenger area is in its own section, and then the bridge and like I'm guessing like crew quarters and stuff is like has its own section. Also, that's an alarm. Give me a second. I have to do something. This is actually something I have to do because if I don't get paid. So, all right. Let me go on ahead and set an alarm. I have to set an alarm for like 7 hours because I can only do 7 hours at a time. So, all right, come on, get moving now. Come on. Be nice if this thing had a tow winch. Oh, it does. Look at that. We have a tow winch. Hold on, I have an idea. All right, hold on. I want to see if I can do what I'm thinking I can do. Because if I can, it'll be really interesting. All right, so this is the flying boat tender, and it does have a winch. All right, so this is actually the cool part. This is actually what I wanted to do. All right, so this is the tender for the flying boat. All right, so you guys see it? Really need the nav lights, but oh, it's one of those you gotta hold down. Cool. It makes it easier. So I have an idea, and I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm hoping it will because I think it'll look really cool if it works. As long as we have a... If you know, you know. Alright, we're gonna put it that way. I do really like this ship, though. It looks really cool. Like, this is like a lifeboat type of situation. Alright, and perfect. Alright, now I need a winch. There you are. Alright, grab. Alright, pull. Pull the ship. Pull the ship. Pull the boat. Come on! Oh, great. So I have to deal with this crap again. Alright, so, ow. Okay, well, we're just gonna back it up as far as it'll go then. And we'll just have to grab the rope and attach it a different way. It's one of the things I hate about trying to play Stormworks is they don't make the ropes to where they're easy to do anything with. Alright, so obviously we're gonna take that. Oh wait, no, no, ow, 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 ow. We don't want it to freaking pull the boat apart. Dear Lord. Alright, here we go. We're gonna use the boat to pull the ship out. Oh god! Alright, we're gonna give it a lot of slack because we don't really want it ramming into us. Alright, here we go. That'll work. Yeah, that's actually a lot of slack. Alright, here we go. Oh, God! Come on, little boat. You got this. Bro, I think I blew the boat up. It's not wanting to do anything. Look at her go. Vroom, vroom. The fact that it's actually working is crazy. I imagine this would probably work better with a bigger boat, but I like this little boat. It's cute. And even though it's only pulling us at about 2 knots, we're doing fine. We're also going to look at the interior of this thing here in a little bit. So we're going to say that all the passengers are already loaded up and everything, but the plane itself is not allowed to take off out of the dock immediately. So it has to like be pulled out far enough that it can crank up and go. So the albatross. That actually sounds really cool if I'm being honest. You would think they would have put a propeller or something on this ship so that it could propel itself forward, but I don't see anything. Alright, so I think we've kind of got it where we want it, so now we're going to move the ship. Because we've now done our job, so now their job is to get going. Alright, I did say I was going to look at this, so where's the door? Alright, so this is the area. Wow, that's a lot of crap. A lot of people, too, I imagine. Alright, so there's the boat. The boat has waved off the ship itself. By the way, we are going to get the catwalks lit up. Alright, so flight engineer needs to crank up all the engines. So engine 1, crunk. Engine 4, crunk. Engine 2, crunk. Now, in reality, guys, planes during this time period would not, Alright, so we're going to allow the wings to fold out. Snap on, there we go. And hold altitude, target autopilot. Alright, so let's get the interior lights and instrument lights on. And let's get going. God save the Queen. Yeehaw! Oh. Alright. And we're off. Wow, this is a very light plane. That's actually crazy. Look at that. That is awesome. Alright. Altitude holds. I want to be at a lot higher than this, so just keep climbing, I guess. Alright. Let's see. Altitude. That seems good, right? Yeah. Like that altitude. Hold the roll. We're just going to leave that on. Alright, we're going to put coordinates in. So we're going to say that we're going to fly all the way to the Arctic. So that's where we're going. Oh, excuse me. So set waypoint. Put the coordinates in. Target autopilot. Alright, here we go. So it should go on ahead and turn us and everything. And as long as we have enough fuel, we should be okay. It should hold altitude as well, so Okay, well, we need to increase altitude, actually. Wrong button! Meow. So I don't know if we actually have enough fuel to make it all the way to the Arctic, but we're gonna try. So, yeah, let's hold about there. That looks good. Yeah, we're not gonna fly very high because if this thing crashes, that's it. So, and I also do want to go look at the interior right quick. So, as soon as this thing levels out, I think we'll be good. All right, so hold the roll. Yeah. All right, so we're good now. This is a very loud plane, by the way. It's not a very quiet one. So I love the fact that you do have like a bar back here. That's really cool. And you also have an open door that you can open and shut and not do things. First class is down here. So here you go. You got first class. So I'm guessing that first class gets fancy rooms. There's a galley down here. Sleeping cabin. Yeah, they get like sleeping cabins. Well, some of them do, obviously, not all of them. Radio and equipment room. That's cool. Look at that. Yeah, cool. So you got basically everything you'd ever need in this one ship. Or plane. Why does it feel like we're going down, by the way? I'm just trying to make sure that we're not in any immediate danger. Oh, what's this? Luggage? Nah! So, all in all, a very nice plane. Here's this area over here, by the way. I don't know what you'd really call this. Oh, it's a map table. Look at that. That's a navigator. You're a navigator. Yeah. That's cool. So the navigator gets like his own little area down there. That's cool. Bro, he looks comfy down there too. Look at that. Wow. I just gotta hope that gotta hope that we have enough fuel to make it. Also, we are gonna turn on the day and night cycle just so that things can go a little bit more smoothly. You know what? Why don't we just add like all the fancy gadgets and stuff? There we go. Dude, I love how immediately when we add a little bit of wind, the plane starts immediately losing every bit of direction that it's supposed to have. I just hope we have enough fuel for this. I honestly do. I hope we have enough fuel for all of this. I don't think we will. I think we'll probably run out of fuel about halfway there. Because this thing's draining fuel like crazy. But I guess we'll see. If we do, we'll just set a waypoint back and we'll see if we can make it back on the fuel that we have. I've never flown a plane in the game before for a long amount of time, so it's more of an experiment for me. White Star Line helped with the gold rush here in Australia. Oh, you're an Australian. Cool. Good day, mate. I do a lot of accents sometimes, and, well, my Australian accent probably ain't too good, so I do a mean British accent, though. So I was making my friend laugh last night so bad that I don't know if he was crying or just dying of laughter. So, yeah. I'll just shut up. I tried to go British after the Australian accent. It kind of failed. You know what? I'll tell you what. Yeah, I love the, wait, is that Austria or Australia? Yeah, that's Australia. Australia, from what I hear, is just nothing but southern British people. Like, I've actually had a British person say that to me. It's actually very hilarious. But, that is how the Outback or the West sounds like. So hold on. Hold on. So you're telling me that in other parts of Australia they sound like, bro, I tell you what, bruv. No, it's, but I watched the movie Australia, and I'm telling you now, what the Japanese did to Australia during World War II is crazy. It's vast of nothing. Well, you know what? A big vast of nothing, mate, is an American's dream. As somebody who lives kind of sort of in the city myself, I'd love to have a big vast of nothingness as long as there's somewhere to go fishing. Not the Aussie accent. Hey, what's the difference between the Outback and Australia? I've always heard it's the same freaking thing, considering everything. Most of Australia is just like wild outback. Like, there's very little places in Australia that have a lot of cities and stuff. Shoot, I'd rather live in the outback than I would live in like a rural area in Australia. That's it. I'm gonna move to bloody Madagascar, and there's nothing you can bloody do about it. It's funny to me because I can't, like, I have like a very, apparently people say I have a very thick southern accent sometimes. And apparently it transfers over when I do a British accent. So needless to say, I sound like some British redneck or something. Oh, this is nice. I like this. This is very pretty. But yeah, apparently Mike Brady is probably one of the most famous Australian people that I know. And I stopped watching him a long time ago simply because it was nothing but Titanic this, Titanic that, Titanic this, Titanic that. That's exactly why I stopped watching him, because all he was focused on was Titanic. And it's like, dude, there's more to life than Titanic. And it honestly kind of pissed me off because, like, I can't, I'll put it this way, I can't stand it when somebody reads a script. I can't stand it. I prefer it when it's coming from you. It is not coming from a script. Like, I know movies and stuff are scripted, But the thing is, with movies, actors add their own flair into it. Mike Brady is just, today we're going to bloody talk about the Titanic yet again. I like the Titanic. I draw really awesomely. I'm Australian, by the way, and apparently females go crazy over me. Historic Travels. I think I've actually watched him a few times too. Like I can't stand somebody who reads from a script. Like there was one guy, I think it was Armchair Historian. That was what he did. And dude, I wouldn't have minded it so much, but when he was reading it, it was like, the German Panzer was the most formidable tank of the war. I am a robot. I am so bored. I would rather die than to read this. And it was like, I was getting put to sleep, and I let him know about it. I was like, dude, you know, if you're going to do this stuff, you got to add some flair. You got to sound entertained. People aren't going to watch you if you sound like you're going to die if you keep reading it. But yeah, like if you pay attention, like Mike Brady is obsessed with Titanic for no reason. Like there are so many other vessels to be obsessed over. Like for me, I really love the Carpathia. I love the design. I love the reason it was created. I just love the history behind it. You know, in the short amount of time that it was around, it did so much for such a small little ship. And the design is so, like, unique on it. That's why I love it so much. Whereas Titanic, at the time, 4 stacks was, like, the big thing. So, you know, White Star Line was like, okay, 4 stacks, slap, slap, slap. And you know the funny thing? Originally, the Olympic class wasn't supposed to have 4 stacks. In a game that I play called, I don't know if I have that particular one, but in a game I play on Roblox called Tiny Sailor's World, there's actually the original Olympic design, and it featured 3 funnels, and the ship itself just looked completely different. Like the length is still the same, but the design of the ship itself is a lot different. I like the Bismarck too. Bismarck is probably my top-rated battleship, but my favorite ocean liner is by far the Carpathia. Now, if we had to name a freighter, I can't really name a freighter that I really like, because, you know, freighters, I've never really studied freighters too much. It's more or less passenger ships and battleships and destroyers and stuff like that I've studied. But Titanic has been talked about on like so many YouTube channels and stuff, like for so long, that like people tend to let it overshadow more dangerous events that happen. Like the Wilhelm Gustloff has quite literally surpassed the death number of Titanic, but nobody really knows about it. Like, not that many people know about it at all. And that's the sad part. Alright, let's see. Nav lights, we need those on now. Like, it bothers me when people let one vehicle or one tank, one plane, one ship just overshadow all the other ones. Like, there are more important things that happen. I mean, I get it. Titanic, you know, it was unsinkable according to what the designers said and what the newspapers said, and then it sunk on its maiden voyage, which was like a blow to the ego for everybody. And, you know, it was such a blow, and the thing that really gets me, it was such a blow to Thomas Andrews, because of the fact that he thought he killed everybody, when in reality it wasn't his fault. Because here's the thing, guys. Thomas Andrews wanted to put more lifeboats on the ship. He wanted to. He wanted to have more lifeboats. But Ismay, yet again, stepping in where he shouldn't have been allowed to step in, said, no, we want to leave space open for the first class passengers to be able to have a view. That's what the promenade deck is for. That's what that lovely deck underneath the boat deck is for. You want to look at the ocean? Go there, dummy. But no, like, they had, like, no respect for anybody. And you know the funny thing? The Titanic was not the first ship that Captain Smith had captained, apparently. Apparently he had captained another ship, and he had crashed that one too. And it's like, dude, this guy's service record is just bad. Why are you letting him take control of a massive ocean liner? But, I don't know. It just... I think it was more or less because of the fact that Captain Smith was in Esme's pocket, more or less. And he would do whatever Esme told him to do, and that's why Esme put him there. But I think one of the coolest quotes that I've heard that was actually said is there was a rich guy. There's actually two. But during the sinking of Titanic, there's like a rich guy, and he's like, we are dressed in our finest, and we are prepared to go down like gentlemen. And like, they actually did end up going down like gentlemen. And then there was one where, an old lady was getting on the lifeboat, and the husband was going to come with her. But one of the officers said, no, it's only women and children, sir. And so the woman gets out the lifeboat, and she goes, if he can't come with me, I'm not going. They went back to their cabin, went to sleep, and they never woke up again. I'm getting chills just saying that. Just think about that for a moment. Their love was so strong. That is a true love story. Their love was so strong that she refused to leave him behind to die by himself. That is a true love story. Dude, we might actually make it. That's actually crazy. We still have 30 kilometers to go, but... she's holding steady, my lordy. But I don't know. There are other vessels to study. I really liked learning about like some of the paddle steamer incidents. Like, there was a lot of like paddle steamers that crashed and stuff. If you've ever watched the TV show Drain the Ocean, I would greatly suggest it. It teaches a lot about like ships and stuff. Like, they also do like they do like Hitler's sunken secrets. They do stuff based upon like Roman and Egyptian rule. They did like a buttload of stuff, and it's actually like really, really cool stuff that they do. And it's actually really interesting how they do it. I stopped watching it though, because like it kind of got boring, because I like binge watched it and it got boring. It was just the same thing over and over again. Thanks to this data that we've collected, where we can drain the oceans, we can drain back time, we can do this, we can do that. Well, cool for you. I don't want to do that. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. It just got boring because the fact I binge watched it like crazy. But if you're into history like I am, it's really an entertaining thing. I'm a big history person. Like, when we talk about like World War I, World War II, like naval vessels, and we're not even talking like warships, passenger vessels, stuff like that. That's why I love stormworks so much, because people create like such really good... I love the Civil War too. Like ironclads, oh my lord, those are some of the coolest looking ships. And the funny thing is, I used to hate history. Like, I used to be in school. I was the guy that preferred math over history. And then, probably about ninth grade, I got really big into World War II, like the planes, the ships, the tanks, and stuff. And then it's like everything just flipped. I started hating math, and I started loving history. And it was like really interesting to me. I apparently know enough that my mom thinks that I could write a book on it, but I told her many times, I said, Mom, who in the flip would read a book that I wrote? I did a paper one time because I was doodling on my Chromebook, and it was like, if the Bismarck had sunk, and then I was like, well, if the Bismarck hadn't sunk, and I went on to say that there was a possibility that shipping would have went down further. And I even was bold enough to say that Germany might have won the war, which was a buttload of BS. But, there's always that possibility. No. The only thing that they teach in school for here in America, I don't know how it is for you, but the only thing that they teach or taught in school, I haven't been in school in like 3 years, somewhere around in there, 2 years, a year, somewhere around in there. The only thing that they taught in school when I was in there was American Revolution, or no, excuse me, stuff before the American Revolution, like English history. Then they went on to like American Revolution. Then they went to the Civil War, and of course, the South is bad was always the thing that they liked to shout out, even though in reality the North was no better. If you're an outsider and you've actually done the research like I have, you'll understand what I mean. The North was no better for black people during the time than the South was, except for they were free. But that's a different story for a different time. Then they rush into it and they start talking about the reformation of the government and everything after the Civil War. And they never, that I remember, I only had like one teacher actually make it past World War II, and I think we made it to the Cold War. In all of my time in school, period, I only remember one teacher making it to the Cold War. I think we even made it as far as the Vietnam War. I think we actually had a guy come in and talk about it one time that actually served in it. It was somebody's great uncle or something like that. And there were things that he didn't even want to talk about. Like, we'd ask him a question, he'd be like, yeah, I'd prefer not to answer that question. And it just the rest of the time, like, none of my teachers, because they goofed around so much, and they don't have, like, the way that high school works over here, at least where I was at, is you have a half a semester, which is 2 quarters, to teach kids everything they're supposed to know in history. And you have like a book full of crap that you're supposed to teach these kids. And the bad thing is, half of it we don't even care about. Like, don't get me wrong, the American Revolution is really cool to learn about. The Civil War is really cool to learn about. Alright. But then, let's move on to wars. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Cold War, Korean War, Gulf War. Let's move on. This is history. But they don't teach that stuff. And that's what aggravates me the most. Alright, we gotta start losing altitude. Alright, let's start cutting back the throttle. Alright. They just don't teach history like they're supposed to. And they can't. Like, the teachers legitimately can't teach the history like they're supposed to because they have a set, like, thing that they're supposed to teach. And then that's, like, all they're allowed to teach. Oh, God. Cut the engine. Splash. We made it. Alright, good job. Boom. Gotta make sure that all the engines are good. Uh-oh. One of the engines cut off. Oh no, never mind, we're good. But we made it. Look at that. Whee! Alright, so now I'm gonna set another waypoint, and we're gonna go all the way back down, but this time I'm gonna try and land over here. Okay, so we're gonna grab this, put it in the waypoint spot, and we're gonna try and take off. Here we go. But yeah, they don't teach the stuff that they really should teach in schools, like they really honestly should. Oh god, turn that off. It's gonna kill us. Alright, get the plane leveled off. Let's bring it up. What's our airspeed? Oh dear god, our airspeed's horrible. Alright. Hold the roll, please. Alright, lock that. There we go. Alright, so that'll start turning us to where we need to go. But yeah, I know wars is not the only thing that happen, and a lot of that stuff is considered important. But if I'm being honest, if you wanna keep people's attention, like, don't, just teach them what you're told to teach. Like, go in depth with it. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't think teachers get paid based upon what they teach. They get paid upon how many hours they work, just like anyone else. So, if I were to become a teacher, I'm telling you guys now, Civil War was to happen, we'd go in depth with that. We wouldn't just go, yep, Civil War happened, Union won, whoopee. No, we would go in depth. We would study everything. I'm talking the full-on African-American Union Regiment, the Battle of Hampton Roads, like all the other stuff. Like, there's so much stuff that happened. Like, Battle of Gettysburg is one of the biggest ones, too. Like, that was one of the biggest incidents where brother fought against brother, friend fought against friend. Like, you would actually have soldiers seeing their friends on the line, and they would honestly shoot somebody else to keep from having to shoot their friend. Because of the fact that the Civil War, even though, I love my Confederate flag, I'm a Confederate boy from, it stands for something different, though, for me than it does for other people, and that's something that people don't understand. A lot of people say, oh, the Confederate flag stands for racism. No, it doesn't. Not for us. Not anymore. It used to, yes. For a very long time, yes, the Confederate flag is... And still, there are people that use the Confederate flag in the wrong way. But that is not... The people that fly it now have a better understanding of what that flag does than the rest of of America. Because that flag does not stand for racism, in my opinion, but oppression paperclip. Like, if we really want to go in depth on the Civil War, let's talk about the fact that the Union was getting their rear ends kicked by Southerners who had less men but better military training, and that's something they do teach in school, by the way. So what Abraham Lincoln does is go, hey, let's cheat, let's cut off their supplies. Britain was planning on sending the South supplies. But, they actually had a British representative in the Confederate lines during the Battle of Gettysburg, and I think he ended up fighting in the Battle of Gettysburg as well. And they were actually planning on sending they were actually planning on sending um, supplies to the South. But I think there was like some sort of like um, thing that but they were planning on sending supplies, but there was going to be like a, I don't remember what the word is now, but basically, I think if the South won and whatever, basically Britain would have a foothold back in America. So in a way, I will say this, I'm glad that the Union won, because the fact, I don't want us to be ruled by Britain, because I've had British people tell me that being ruled by Britain sucks. So I'm sorry, but you know, my government isn't very good right now, but my government's better than the freaking British government right now. Once the Queen died, the British government went. So yeah, I'm sorry, but the British government right now sucks. So yeah, I'm good. At least I can say that my current president's actually trying to fix things, whether the Canadians like it or not. But the funny thing is, apparently, Canada had tariffs on us before we put tariffs on them, but then they get pissed off when we put tariffs on them, and it's like, okay, whatever, cool. Hypocrites. I don't, like, I know that not all British people, or not all British, excuse me, not all Canadian people are like this. I think there are some Canadians out there that actually have a brain and don't follow what everybody else says. But, I think that it's pretty sad that during World War I, during the Christmas truce, Canadians went into the German trenches and shot the Germans in the back, and that's why that never happened again, was because of the Canadians. So thank you, Canadians. You're the reason that nobody trusts anybody anymore. You sick sons of... But yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't like the idea. One, I don't like the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state, because of the fact I don't want backstabbers in my country, thank you. And that's all they are. I'm sorry, but like, I'm sorry, but if they'll help us in World War I and World War II, and then help us during the hurricane season and stuff, and then throw it in our faces, yeah, you're backstabbing us by throwing it in our face. We didn't ask for your help. There's enough Americans and enough American resources that we could have took care of ourselves. We don't need your help. But everybody's like, oh, I can't wait till America finds out how much they need Canada. More like, I can't wait for Canada to find out how much they need us. It works both ways, because everybody needs everybody in this world, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. Everybody needs everybody. Like, I will be the first one to say I hate Putin. I hate the way that he's doing everything, but I hate Zelensky too, because Zelensky's trying to keep the war going when he should have ended it when he pushed Russia back to where they belonged and told Russia, try it again and I'll do it just the same as I did before. But no, he thinks that just because now he's got a foothold into Russia, he can keep pushing. No, dude, you've taken back the land that they took from you. Back the flip off. Be the bigger man. But no, he's power hungry, and that's the whole issue, in my opinion. He's a power hungry son of a gun. But and then the whole war with Israel and Palestine. Dear God, don't even get me started with that crap. I think honestly, like I am somebody who reads the Bible a lot and everything. Well, I don't read the Bible, but I know enough to know that God gave Israel to the Jews, to Moses. Okay, that land was taken from the Israelis a long time ago. But just because of the fact that it was taken from you, Israel, does not give you a reason to hate on the Palestinians so much. Okay? The people that are there now, they had nothing to do with that. They had nothing to do with the fact that your land got took from you hundreds of years ago. They had nothing to do with that. They're just people trying to live their lives. And then Palestine gets all pissed off and starts freaking killing babies in their cribs and crap like that. And I'm sorry, I don't take sides on this thing. Like, I know for a fact that in the end, at the end of days, my Bible says that everything will end in Israel. He does not say anything about the people that are currently living in Israel. He just says everything will end in Israel. Okay, cool. So it doesn't matter if the Palestinians win. It doesn't matter if the Israelis win. In the end, everything will end in Israel. All right. So, kind of think about that for a little bit, He doesn't say, oh, the Palestinians win, or oh, the Israeli win. No, he just says everything will end in Israel. Straight, simple, to the point. I love it, I read King James, the King James Version, simply because I understand it better. I'm weird like that. I understand it a little bit better than I do the New International Version. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that, I've always heard that, the newer translated versions, they take stuff out and all that. I don't know if it's true. I don't really care. It's just, for me, the King James Version is easier for me to read. Thou shalt not kill. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever shall believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. I even did it with a fancy accent, so it sounded cool. But anyway, I don't really read it too much, but the King James has always been what I've been raised on. It's what I've been taught out of for a long time. It makes it hard going to my church though, because my pastor uses the New International Version or something like that. And so needless to say, his book reads different than mine. So needless to say, his is reading don't kill people, and mine's thou shalt not murder or something like that. I'm like, where are you getting these words? But it's just a more modern translation of the Bible from what I'm understanding it. That's all it is. My mom's even wanting to get a New International Version because it's easier to understand, but not me. I'm good. And I also, if I remember, I can't remember what the actual Bible verses are, but the Bible does actually talk about how it is a sin to mix races. It also says stuff about women dressing as men. It also says something about men dressing as women. So yeah, it does address all of that stuff in the Bible, and it does say that all of that is a sin. So if you read the old the King James Version, Like with the accent and everything, it actually sounds really cool. Like, he looketh at himeth, witheth, a grinneth. I don't know. But yeah, it does actually mention like the crossbreeding. It also mentions something about sleeping with animals. By the way, yeah, furries. um, it also mentions like I said, it mentions like the cross dressing, the mixing races, like being gay, being lesbian. It mentions that. I think all that's in Corinthians somewhere, 2 Corinthians somewhere. I can't remember. I'd have to find it again. But apparently it also mentions something about sleeping with animals too. So, all that is in the Bible. You just have to find it. And I can probably get the Bible verses. I just have to look and ask my pastor to give them to me. But, like all that stuff is addressed in the Bible, and all of it is said that it's not supposed to be done. So, it doesn't say, oh, it's a sin to do it, but the way that they put it, that that's what they're saying. But it also addresses the fact that as Christians, it is not our job to judge people. Like, when I say judge people, like, I can't look at you and say, oh, so you're cross-dressing, you're going to hell. That's not my job to judge you. Because for all I know, the next day you could repent and say, I claim Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and then you are forgiven of everything that you've ever done, as long as you don't do it again. That's why I haven't really claimed, well, I've claimed him, but I haven't been baptized, because the way that it's been explained to me with baptism and everything is, with the baptism, it's like the final seal. Like you're sealing the deal. And I know that I sin a lot, like obesity, I do other things, and, worldly things that are very sinful, and I don't see a reason in making a promise I can't keep. I'm not ready to lie to the one person that saved my life when I was 9 or 10 years old. So, no thank you. And yes, I'm here today because of the fact I was ran over by a tractor. Exactly. Like, I say, oh my God, all the time. But like, I don't know if that's using his name in vain or not. But I know that people say like G-O-D and then D-A-M-N. Like, I'll hear people say that. And it's like, why? Why say that? The fact that we've only used a little bit of fuel kind of makes me mad. This thing could run forever, to be honest. But, I've never understood why it is that people, do that kind of stuff. Personally, I think it's pathetic, it's stupid, like, you're just killing yourself. But then, another thing that really gets me is like the gays and the lesbians talking about, well, if Jesus is so much about love and all, why can't he accept me for what I choose to be? Because the kind of love that Jesus shows is not the kind of love like, oh, it's okay, you can do whatever you want, I'll love you no matter what. Yes, he will love you no matter what, but he will also have that tough love. Like, I love you no matter what, but you're doing wrong, I have to punish you for it. It is tough love is what God and Jesus have. And that is what people tend to miss in the translations. They think that just because Jesus is love, that he's going to let them do whatever they want. No. Jesus has tough love. God has tough love. And that's one thing that, aggravates me is like, why bother with trying to be accepted if it bothers you so much that God doesn't accept you, If it bothers you so much that God doesn't accept you for who you are, then why bother? Oh, wrong button. Alright, well, there we are. Then why bother, Why try and change everybody else's opinion on it? No. Alright, anybody who's a true believer is not going to move from what they believe in. Sorry. And just so happens that all the true believers, the ones that won't, fit the, how do I put this? The ones that won't, just randomly change the rules and stuff around just because the fact it fits you better. These are tough love people. Alright, now I'll say this, I have a friend who is bisexual, apparently. He has a boyfriend, and me and him still talk. Like, we don't talk very often now, but we talk. We talk like once a month, twice a week, or not twice a week, but twice every 2 weeks, or at least twice a month, somewhere around in there, he has his differences about him. I have my differences about me. I'm very religious. He's not very religious at all. But I do not let that get in the way because of the fact that we are friends. And that is what a lot of people don't understand, is that it says in the Bible, it's in 2 Corinthians somewhere, and I think, if I remember correctly, it's Paul that was giving the instructions. The way that it's explained is, let's say you're coming into my house, and I know that you used to drink a lot, and you stopped because of the fact that it was like destroying your life and everything. Well, I still drink, but I don't drink a lot. Well, it says that if somebody is coming into your house and they don't do something that you do, out of respect for them, you won't do it around them. So, in other words, if I'm drinking and you show up at my house, I'll put the drink away. I won't drink it while you're there. When you leave, then I'll drink it. But while you're there, I won't do it. So, it's kind of the same situation, I don't put my friend down because of the fact of his life choice, because of the fact that we're friends. We don't live near each other, but when we talk, I don't put him down for what he decided to do with his life. I don't accept it, I don't agree with it, but you don't see me hating on him because of it either. It is God's job to judge people, not mine. That's the way I see it. I can warn him, I can be like, hey, this is a sin, you really need to stop this, you need to go straight. I can tell him that all day, but one of the issues that we have in Christianity is sometimes people come off really strong and people don't like that. So it tends to end up ruining the chance of bringing someone to the faith rather than bringing them to the faith. Like, you see all these people that go on the streets and talk about God. They're not helping. I hate to be mean, but they are not helping. They are some of the Christians that, like, well, yes, I get it, you want to see what people's reaction is to you being there. That's not the real reason you should be out there, okay? Take a Bible, walk up to these people. Hello, how are you today? Start a conversation with them, and then explain to them why you love God, why you love Jesus. And explain to them, show them evidence, because I'll tell you now, people nowadays, they love evidence. So you show them evidence in the book, in the Bible and stuff, they'll probably be more likely to convert over rather than you basically forcing it on them. Just give them the chance to have their own brain, to think about it for themselves. Don't force it on them, because if you force it on them, they're not going to do anything with it. They're going to like be like, oh, okay, cool. And then they're like freaking going to ignore the crap out of it. I've never really gotten anybody to go to church with me or anything like that. I've tried bringing my brother to church like twice, and both times he's acted stupid, and he's been an embarrassment to me, and it's not a good idea to bring him to church, sadly. So, but that is life, I guess. So exactly, like doing stuff like that, Bible verses. I see people all the time with like these stupid bumper stickers saying, do you follow Jesus this close? Dude, or ma'am, whatever. Why? Like that's not helping the situation at all. Alright, now, a lot of people say that a lot of the reason that they come to the faith is because of the fact that things happen to them. I know for me, things happen to me that caused me to come to Jesus and claim him as my Lord and Savior, because of the fact that I knew then that he loved me. Because when I was 9 or 10, I don't remember how old I was, it's been so long, I was with my dad, who's now been dead for 3 years, and we were loading up hay bales on this flatbed truck. He was driving rigs, and he had took me with him for the weekend, or something like that. I can't remember. Might have been for the day. I don't remember. And the tractor's forks and stuff kept malfunctioning. It's like the hydraulics kept malfunctioning, and they would slip into the ground. Well, I got back on the tractor one last time, and that last time the forks went into the ground, flung me off. The funny thing, I don't remember being flung off. I don't remember hitting the ground. The only thing I remember is when the tractor came up off of me. I screamed, in the most painful just scream. And I asked my dad, I said, why'd you do it? And it broke him, guys. It honestly broke him. It wasn't long after that my dad left us. I honestly think that I am the reason that question and him feeling like he almost killed me, I honestly feel like that he gave up on trying to be part of the family and everything, and it was a horrible time. But my legs would barely work. Every time I would put weight on my feet, it would hurt. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't even be walking. My legs still hurt, by the way. They still hurt from time to time. My knees will pop out from under me sometimes. But, I said right then and there, as my dad put me in his big rig, I said, Dad, it's okay. God sent an angel to save me. And ever since that day, I've just I knew for some reason God kept me on this earth. For some reason I don't know. I don't ask questions. I've asked before, but I've never really gotten an answer. And it's like that song says, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. So I go day by day. I do what I have to do. I take care of who I need to take care of, and I let God do the rest. It's not my job to worry about what He's got planned for me. But, do I miss my father every day? Yes. Do I still hate him for leaving us? Yes. Did I forgive him a long time ago? Yes. My mom thinks I still hate my dad. I I don't hate my dad for what happened. I forgave him a long time ago, but life has been difficult without him here. I honestly miss him calling every day to see if we wanted to talk to him. I never did. I was so angry with my dad for leaving us for so long that when he would call every day, I wouldn't want to talk to him. When I would go with him on the weekends and he would take me over to the race shop that he helped build, and he'd try to show me things, I would ignore him. And now I sit and think about every day, why didn't I pay close enough attention? Why didn't I spend more time with him? Those are things I can't get back. Those are things I'll never be able to get back. Ever. So my one piece of advice to anybody who, if you hate your parents, you think you do, don't. Because let me tell you something. You don't realize how much you're going to miss them until they're not there anymore for you to have anything to do with. For a long time, still now, it's been me and my mom helping each other. That's how it's been, that's how it's going to continue to stay. I made a promise to myself and in a way to my dad that no matter what, I wouldn't leave or abandon my mom. And even though she gets on my nerves every day, I haven't left her. I haven't been anywhere. Nothing. Sometimes you just have to deal and go through day by day. Yeah. But anyway, enough of the sad sob stories, because I'm sure nobody wants to hear that crap. But yeah, things happen, and now I do this while taking care of my disabled brother every day. It's I get paid decently for it, so of course, when you pay $499 for a freaking pair of tires that you didn't even freaking want on your truck, like they did me yesterday at Walmart. That is a story I got to talk about right quick before I get off. So, for the new ones that are here, yesterday I decided I needed to get new tires on the truck. The tires I had were good, but I was spending some time with my brother the other day, and what ended up happening was, we're gonna fall out of the sky a little bit, it's fine. It was raining and wheel slip occurred and the truck went sideways. I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. I'm getting the tires on the truck changed. So I went ahead, I got the tires on the truck changed, and But the thing is, when they took my order at freaking Walmart, they didn't bother to ask me what freaking tires I wanted. They didn't bother to ask me if I wanted road tires or if I wanted, like all-terrain tires. And the truck that I have, it's not a four-wheel drive, it's a two-wheel drive. I love the freaking thing, though. It's GMC Sierra, 2001. Full analog, unlike everybody else's freaking pieces of junk. So, thank God for that. But, so I go out there to go drive home after I paid for the freaking tires for freaking $99 for that scheisse. Anyway, and needless to say, I was very unhappy with, freaking, alright, go here. I was very unhappy with Walmart because then the guy, instead of putting it on a gift card like he should have done to refund it, or just taking off what the difference was going to be, he put it back on my my bank card like a moron, right? So then the bank doesn't put the money back on the card immediately. So needless to say, I drove away from Walmart last night basically stealing a pair of tires, or a set of tires for my truck. And then they had the audacity. Here's the thing that really pissed me off. Well, the guy told me, he said, once the money hits the bank, come and pay it. We don't care. They shouldn't call you. Guess what, guys? They called me twice. First time is, they're like, is there any way that you can send a relative or something up here to pay for it? I said, no, I'm taking care of this myself. As soon as the money hits the bank, I'll come up there and pay for it. Next time they call me, hey, do you have time you can come up here so we can put the old tires that were on your truck back on your truck? And then when you come and pay for the tires, you can have the old ones, the new ones. I said, buddy, I got things I got to do. I can't help that y'all screwed up. And then y'all want to blame it on me. I said, as soon as the money hits the bank, I will come and pay the freaking crap. Alright? But until then, y'all need to leave me alone. Because if not, I'll just take the freaking tires. And I put it very plain to him. And he had, like, he wanted to get an attitude about it. I'm like, go ahead, get an attitude. Go ahead, say something. Say something. Go ahead, say something. He's like, all right. And then he, like, freaking, whatever. And it's like, dude, I gave the guy, because the reason that I wanted to pay for it in the first place, which I'm not the kind of person I'm going to steal tires I didn't pay for. I'm not that kind of person. I don't steal things. But secondly, the guy, when he made the mistake, he admitted he made the mistake. He worked with me, found the tires that I wanted, put the tires on the truck, and all that. And he was ready to get me out of there because I had a lot of things to do. And I told him that. I said, I've got a lot of things I got to do today. I don't have time to sit here. So, he just let me drive off with the truck. And, with the new tires. And he told me, he's like, they shouldn't call you. Well, they ended up calling me anyway, being the freaking sons of guns they were. And I'm telling you guys now, when I pay that, it's not going to be for the management of Walmart. It's going to be for that guy, because of the fact that guy worked with me. He found me what I needed. He was very polite. He admitted to his mistake, and we had like a mutual understanding of one another. And, he let me go. Now, if I were to find out that he was fired, I'd raise hang. Because it was not his fault that there was 3 people, including him, that could have fixed the issue before it even happened. But none of them decided to say anything. So if anything, if he's going to get fired, the other 2 need to get fired too. Because that's a big screw up. Like, if it's just one person that screws up, that's one thing. But there's 3 people that didn't bother to ask me if I wanted road tires or all-terrain tires. And I will admit, the all-terrains look really good on my truck. They really did. But, the issue is that, while it looked good on my truck, it didn't look good to my wallet. So, I had to get the cheaper ones. But the bad thing was, I think they overcharged me again because it was $499 with the 2 plates that I got. So, it was probably like, actually around 400 and I want to say 92, something around there. With the road tires, it was going to be 470. So, like, in reality, I only saved like $22. So I'm just thinking to myself now, I'm like, I should have just kept the freaking all-terrain tires and just went with it. And I honestly wish I would have. And I think when I go back to get tires again, I will get the all-terrains because they did look really good on the truck. But I'm also thinking about trying to get the truck, the tail light. I have to get tail lights to put on it. I got to get the transmission looked at. I'm planning on getting it repainted from white to black. I want to get some black rims to put on there so that the rims match with the truck. I'm not planning on doing anything to light the headlights or anything, just new tail lights. And when I say new tail lights, it'll be stock tail lights. Basically, I'm going to try and turn my truck into like what they call a sleeper vehicle, where it has like a really powerful engine under the hood, but it looks completely like just stock. But that's kind of the plan. But in case you're wondering what it is a 2001. Matter of fact, hold on, I can show you what it is. Hold on. Images. Alright, so mine's a 2-wheel drive. So mine looks about like that, but it's white. That's what mine looks like. Obviously, it doesn't have mine doesn't have the GM hubcap covers. It has the Chevy hubcap covers, which is hilarious. And this thing's been wrecked, but this is about what my truck looks like. It's a very nice truck, too. Like, the interior definitely needs some work because my dad smoked like a freaking freight train in it. But, I plan on getting it worked on. But, yeah, this is the truck that I have. It's not a 1500. It was a V6 that was in it, but they swapped it. Now, here's the funny part. They swapped the engine and put a V8 in it. So, needless to say, I'll just sit out there and be like, by the way, I'll just show you guys what my truck looks like. Let me pull up the Discord. And I'll send it in the chat so that you guys can look and see what the I have it on my phone. I took pictures of the truck on my phone. This is going to be like the full truck with the rim. The wrong tires are on it on this picture or in these pictures, so be aware of that. But yeah, this is the truck. This is my truck. That's my baby. She's rusted. She's junky, but I mean, those are the tires. Look at that. That is a gorgeous tire. That is the all-terrains. But yeah, Chevy rims, GMC emblem, Chevy rims, it's fine, right? But that window doesn't roll down or up. It's very rusted. It's been crashed. The other fender's messed up really bad. But it's a really good looking truck. But, yeah, the toolbox, I don't know if you're paying attention. The toolbox is actually for an S10. My dad got this toolbox from his dad. And instead of getting rid of the toolbox and just getting a bigger toolbox, my dad redneck rigged it, put boards underneath it, and strapped it to the thing. So needless to say, I got too small of a toolbox in the bed of the truck, but I still use it. And yeah, she's a good truck. It's a good truck. Yeah, that there is a picture of my dad. Of course, you can't see it because the back end of it. But Walmart, Walmart, low price. But yeah, I thought those tires looked really good on it myself. Like it did look really good. But yeah, that was hanging off for a while until the mechanic that realigned it fixed that. But this door right here doesn't open. The other side does, but that door don't open. It's stuck. Let's see, what else is wrong with this? This tail light over here, it is not... it's not the correct tail light. And if I go to... Fire truck! If I go to Amazon, I'm not doing it on stream, obviously, because then y'all can get information on me, and I don't want that. But it's bad enough I'm showing you a freaking picture of my truck. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that on there. I don't care. It's truck. But yeah, that truck was my dad's, and my mom finally decided to let me drive it. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream here. I had a lot of fun with this, so I'm just going to go on ahead and crash this plane. It's fine. Oh no! Whatever are we gonna do? Let me go open the front door section right quick. Oh, no, it's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom, bottom. Run, little thing. Run! Open the door. There we go. Or let this sucker sink. Did we take in any water? Darn it. I don't think we took in any water at all on that, by the way. Alright, well. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Alright, we're gonna flood for sure now, alright? Let's make sure. Yeah, if we don't flood, I don't know why. But yeah, I love my truck. My truck is great. Yeah, ignore the massive amounts of holes that we have. Oh no. Do we have lifeboats by chances? Okay, let's get the engines going again. Because I want to do something very stupid. Oh, we're flooding, aren't we? Holy crap, this thing started flooding fast. We're gonna move very slowly, though. Dude, why is there water in the cockpit? That makes no sense. Like, I can understand the water being down here, considering that's where we're flooding at, but down up here, that makes no sense at all. Unless the water... No, the water isn't even anywhere near that. Why in the world are we getting water up there? I don't know. But we are sinking. But yeah, I like the extended cabs. But, I love my truck. And there's a lot of crap that I have to get fixed on it. No, I want to go down into the ship so that I can open up all these lovely doors. Yeah, save the ship. Not really, but anyway. I don't know if we're actually going to sink or not, to be honest. like we're sinking here, obviously, but I can't figure out why we're sinking there. We're not really sinking anywhere else. So maybe that's moving's keeping us afloat. I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, but I hope everybody has a lovely day. And remember, well, as soon as this gets done, but yeah, I'm hoping that the money hit the bank. Matter of fact, once I get done with the stream, I have to check that and make sure. So, but if the money hit the bank, I have to run to Walmart and pay on that. So anyway, I hope everybody has a lovely day.